The year was 2157. Humans had spread to 12 planets beyond Earth. They had met 3 alien species and made peace with them. Humanity was still new to space travel compared to other aliens, but they were growing stronger each year. On the bridge of the UES Mercy, Captain Helena Chen watched the stars through the main view screen. The Mercy was Earth's best medical ship. It carried doctors, medicine, and advanced medical equipment to help anyone in need. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call," said Communications Officer Park. His fingers moved quickly over his console. "It's coming from the Keldorian homeworld." Captain Chen frowned. The Keldorians were a species humans knew little about. They kept to themselves and rarely spoke to other species. "Put it on speaker," she ordered. A harsh, raspy voice filled the bridge. The translation computer worked to convert the alien language to English. "This is High Elder Moxtal of Keldoria. Our world suffers from a deadly disease. Millions are dying. We request aid from any who can help. Please." The message cut off. The bridge crew looked at each other in silence. "The Galactic Concord has advised against entering Keldorian space," said First Officer Rodriguez. "They are known to be suspicious of outsiders." Captain Chen stood up straight. "People are dying. We took an oath to help those in need, no matter who they are." She turned to her crew. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them we request permission to lead a humanitarian mission to Keldoria." 3 days later, approval came. The Mercy would go to Keldoria, along with 2 military ships for protection, the UES Sentinel and the UES Guardian. Dr. Aisha Rahman worked in the Mercy's main lab. She was Earth's best expert on alien diseases. On her screen were the few files they had on Keldorian biology. "Not much to work with," she muttered. Her assistant, Dr. Patel, nodded in agreement. "Their immune system seems similar to reptiles from Earth," Dr. Rahman said. "But these organ structures, I've never seen anything like them." She sighed and rubbed her tired eyes. "We'll have to create new medicines once we get there and can study actual patients." The small fleet traveled for 2 weeks to reach Keldorian space. Captain Chen called a meeting with Commander Takahashi of the Sentinel and Captain Williams of the Guardian. "We'll approach slowly with all weapons powered down," she explained. "We'll broadcast our peaceful intentions on all channels." Commander Takahashi looked worried. The Keldorians share a border with the Vraxian Imperium. The Vraxians have been expanding their territory aggressively. "Our mission is medical, not political," Captain Chen replied firmly. "We go where we're needed." As they approached the border of Keldorian space, Lieutenant Sophia Diaz piloted the Sentinel carefully. "All channels open," she reported, broadcasting our message. "This is the UES Mercy from Earth, responding to your distress call. We come with medical aid and peaceful intentions." The 3 ships moved forward, the Mercy in the center with its bright red medical symbols glowing on its white hull. The stars shined around them. They had no way of knowing that those same stars hid danger, and that their mission of mercy was about to change human history forever. The 3 Earth ships moved slowly through space. The Mercy's white hull gleamed against the darkness. Its red medical symbols were visible from all sides. "Captain, I'm detecting ships ahead," said Sensor Officer Lee on the Sentinel. 7 vessels, moving into formation. Commander Takahashi frowned. "Are they Keldorian?" "No, sir," Lee replied. "The design matches Vraxian warships." The bridge grew quiet. The Vraxians were known for their aggression. Their insect-like bodies housed minds that thought only of conquest and control. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Rise announced. "On screen," Takahashi ordered. The screen lit up with the face of a Vraxian commander. His hard exoskeleton was decorated with metal plates showing his rank. 4 compound eyes stared at them coldly. "I am Lord Captain Jurax of the Vraxian Imperium," he clicked in his harsh language. "You have entered claimed territory. Turn back immediately." Takahashi stood tall. "Lord Captain, I am Commander Kenzo Takahashi of Earth. We are on a humanitarian mission to Keldoria. They have requested medical aid for a deadly disease outbreak. The Kildorians are under Vraxian protection, Jurak said. We will handle their problems. On the Mercy, Captain Chen listened to the exchange. She spoke to Dr. Raman, who stood beside her. How bad will the delay be if we have to go around Vraxian space? She asked. 3 more weeks, Raman replied. Millions could die in that time. Chen nodded and opened a channel to the Sentinel. Commander Takahashi, explain that we have medicines specifically made for this crisis. Tell them we must proceed directly. Takahashi relayed the message to the Vraxians. Lord Captain Jurax's mandibles clicked in what might have been anger. You will turn back now, he demanded. This is your final warning. Lord Captain, Takahashi said firmly, our mission is peaceful. We carry no weapons on our medical vessel. We must reach the Kildorians. Their lives depend on it. For a moment, there was silence. Then, without another word, the Vraxian ships opened fire. Shields up, Takahashi shouted as the first energy blasts hit the Sentinel. The Mercy had only basic shields, not designed for combat. The first volley tore through them easily. The ship shuddered as explosions ripped across its hull. On the bridge, Captain Chen grabbed her console as the floor tilted beneath her. All hands, evacuation protocol. Get to the escape pods. Dr. Raman ran to her lab as alarms blared. She grabbed the data core containing all their research. Upload to Earth. She shouted to her team. Send everything now. The Guardian moved to shield the Mercy, firing back at the Vraxian ships. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. Lieutenant Sophia Diaz fought to keep the Sentinel stable as more blasts rocked the ship. Commander, the Mercy is breaking apart, she reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. Return fire, Takahashi ordered. Target their weapons. The Guardian exploded in a ball of fire as 3 Vraxian ships concentrated their attack on it. The Mercy's hull split open, exposing decks to the vacuum of space. Dr. Raman finished the data transmission seconds before her lab decompressed. Her last thought was of her sister back on Earth. We can't win this, Takahashi said grimly as more systems failed around him. Lieutenant Diaz, prepare for emergency FTL jump. We need to warn Earth. Half the bridge crew was already dead. The remaining officers worked frantically as the ship burned around them. Diaz's hands flew over the damaged navigation controls. FTL drive badly damaged, sir. If we jump, we might not survive. If we stay, we definitely won't, Takahashi said. Do it. Diaz initiated the jump sequence. The stars stretched around them as the broken ship tore itself into FTL space, leaving behind the burning wreckage of humanity's mission of mercy. The damaged Sentinel appeared near Jupiter's orbit, its hull torn open in multiple places. The emergency FTL jump had pushed the ship's systems well beyond their limits. Of the 50 crew members, only 12 were still alive. Earth Defense Station Gamma immediately detected the ship's arrival. Unidentified vessel on approach, announced the station officer. Heavy damage. Wait, it's one of ours. The UES Sentinel. Medical and rescue ships launched within minutes. Inside the Sentinel, Lieutenant Sophia Diaz was the only person still conscious on the bridge. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead as she fought to keep life support running. This is Lieutenant Diaz of the UES Sentinel, she said weakly into the communication system. Emergency. Attack. Must warn Earth. Her hand shook as she transferred the ship's sensor logs to the emergency beacon. The logs contained everything: the peaceful approach, the Vraxian ultimatum, and the unprovoked attack on the medical convoy. As her vision began to darken, she pressed the final command to broadcast the data to all Earth frequencies. 12 hours later, the footage had spread across Earth and all its colonies. People watched in horror as the Mercy, clearly marked as a medical vessel, was torn apart by Vraxian weapons. In New York City, the United Earth Parliament called an emergency session. Prime Minister Adebayo stood before the gathered representatives. His normally calm face showed barely controlled anger. "For a century," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "humanity has sought peaceful coexistence among the stars. Today, that peace was answered with barbarism." The chamber was completely silent as he continued. "The Vraxians didn't just attack our ships, they attacked everything we stand for. They fired on doctors and nurses. They fired on a mission of mercy. They have shown us who they truly are." Outside the Parliament building, thousands gathered to watch on large screens. Many wept openly when the names and faces of the dead were shown. "I ask this Parliament to authorize an immediate military response," Prime Minister Adebayo said, "not just to defend our borders, but to make it clear to all species that an attack on Earth's humanitarian missions will never go unanswered." The vote was unanimous. All 193 member nations agreed. In Earth's Orbital Defense Headquarters, Admiral William Chen stared at a photo on his desk. It showed him with his sister Helena, the captain of the Mercy. The photo had been taken just before she left on her final mission. "Admiral," said his aide, "the Prime Minister is calling for you." Chen straightened his uniform and wiped away a single tear. "Put him through." "Admiral Chen," the Prime Minister said when his face appeared on the screen, "I'm appointing you to lead our response against the Vraxian Imperium. The operation will be named Righteous Return." "Thank you, sir," Chen replied. "I accept the command." "This isn't about revenge, Admiral," the Prime Minister cautioned. "It's about justice." Chen's face remained professional, but his eyes burned with determination. "Understood, sir. Justice will be served." Throughout the Sol system, Earth's fleet began to mobilize. Ships that had been built for exploration and defense were quickly refitted for war. The shipyards around Mars worked at full capacity. Lieutenant Des, recovering in a hospital bed, watched the preparations from her window. Military ships gathered in Earth orbit, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. "They have no idea what they've done," she whispered. "They have no idea who they've provoked." Humanity, a species that had always prided itself on peaceful exploration, now prepared for war. And the galaxy would soon learn just how terrible humans could be when their compassion was met with cruelty. While Earth's main fleet prepared openly for war, Admiral Chen held a secret meeting deep under the lunar South Pole. The facility had been built during the Unification Wars 50 years ago, and then sealed afterward. Now, its lights came on again. "Project Nemesis was shut down because it was too dangerous," said General Lian Zhao as she walked with Chen through the long corridors. "But we kept the research." They entered a large laboratory where a team of scientists waited. At the front stood Dr. Vikram Sethi, a thin man with intelligent eyes. "Admiral Chen," Dr. Sethi said with a small bow, "I was told you need weapons that the Vraxians cannot defend against." "That's right," Chen replied. "Tell me about Nemesis." Dr. Sethi touched a control panel, and a hologram appeared showing tiny machines smaller than blood cells. "Nemesis is a nanite weapon system," he explained. "These microscopic machines can be programmed to target specific biological signatures or technology." He changed the display to show the nanites attacking ship systems. They can disable weapons, engines, life support, anything with electronic components, or they can be set to attack only certain alien biology, leaving humans and other species unharmed. Admiral Chen studied the display. "How quickly can you have them ready?" "With full funding and resources, 2 weeks, Dr. Sethi said. "You have 1 week, Chen replied. Meanwhile, in Earth's asteroid belt, another secret project was underway. General Zhao stood before a massive asteroid that had been hollowed out years ago. The Mjolnir platforms were officially registered as mining operations, she explained to her team. In reality, they are kinetic bombardment weapons. On her screen, 50 large asteroids appeared, each one fitted with stealth engines and guidance systems. A single Mjolnir, dropped from orbit, can devastate a city. Zhao continued. We have 50 positioned throughout the solar system. Now we need to move them into Vraxian space without being detected. An officer raised his hand. The Galactic Concord has rules against planet killer weapons. These are not planet killers, Zhao corrected. They are precise weapons that can target military bases without harming civilian areas. We follow the rules of war, even if the Vraxians don't. The next day, a ship from the Galactic Concord arrived at Earth. The Concord was an alliance of older spacefaring species who set rules for interstellar relations. Ambassador T-Lara, a tall blue-skinned alien, met with Admiral Chen in his office. "The Concord is concerned about your military buildup," she said. "We urge restraint in your response to the Vraxian attack." Chen smiled politely. "We appreciate the Concord's concern. Rest assured, our response will be proportional." Unknown to the ambassador, stealth drones were already entering Vraxian space, mapping defenses and planting the first Nemesis nanites. "The Vraxians have offered to pay compensation for your losses," T-Lara continued. "Perhaps this matter can be settled without further bloodshed." Chen's smile disappeared. "Ambassador, when the Vraxians fired on our medical ship, they didn't just kill our people. They showed the galaxy that they believe might makes right." He stood up, his eyes hard. "You mistake our patience for weakness. We offered mercy, and they responded with slaughter. Now they will learn what humanity is truly capable of." After the ambassador left, Chen received a secure message from Dr. Scifi. "Nemesis nanites ready for deployment. Awaiting your command." Chen sent a simple reply. "Begin Phase 1." Across the solar system, humanity prepared its response. The public saw only the conventional military preparations. No one outside a small circle knew about the true weapons Earth was about to unleash. 3 weeks after the attack on the Mercy, Earth launched its first strikes. But they weren't what anyone expected. A small Earth strike team hit a remote Vraxian monitoring station near the edge of their territory. The station had only 10 guards, who surrendered without a fight. The humans placed a small device in the station's main computer, then left. 2 days later, Earth forces attacked an automated mining facility on a moon far from any Vraxian colonies. They destroyed a few mining robots, planted another device, and disappeared. The third attack targeted a communication relay floating in deep space. Again, Earth forces placed a device and withdrew. On the Vraxian homeworld, Emperor Draxthar met with his war council. His hard exoskeleton gleamed under the bright lights of the war room. "Is this the best humans can do?" He clicked in amusement. 3 minor attacks against unimportant targets. Lord General Krasmor, head of the Imperial forces, showed a map of the attacks. These strikes seem random and poorly coordinated. They hit targets with no strategic value. "Perhaps they are testing our defenses," suggested Admiral Vexnar. "Or perhaps they are weak," said the Emperor. "We destroyed their best medical ship and 2 military vessels with ease. Maybe those 3 ships were all they could spare for a counterattack." The Vraxian leaders laughed, their mandibles clicking together in their version of humor. "Strengthen our core worlds," the Emperor ordered. "The humans may try something more serious next." What the Vraxians didn't know was that each target housed a node of their collective strategic network, the system that connected all their military forces. With each attack, Earth forces had planted Nemesis nanites that now spread through the entire Vraxian network. On the Earth command ship Retribution, Admiral Chen watched as the nanites mapped the Vraxian military infrastructure in real time. "The Vraxians think we're desperate and weak," he said to Dr. Scifi, who monitored the nanite spread. "That's exactly what we want them to think." Dr. Scifi nodded. "The nanites are working perfectly. They're gathering data on Vraxian ships, weapons, and bases, and they remain completely undetected." "How long until we have full coverage?" Chen asked. "Another 10 days, Scifi replied. "The nanites multiply and spread every time data passes through their systems." On Earth, many people questioned the military's actions. The news showed only small strikes against minor targets. After such a terrible attack on the Mercy, people expected a stronger response. Prime Minister Adebayo addressed these concerns in a public speech. Some ask why our response seems limited. I ask for your patience and trust. In chess, the decisive move is rarely the first one. Meanwhile, a small stealth ship entered Keldorian space. Inside was Commander Maya Ortiz and a team of Earth's best intelligence officers. Their mission? To find out if there really was a plague on the Keldorian homeworld, and why the Vraxians had been so determined to stop the Mercy from reaching it. As the ship approached the planet, Ortiz studied the readings. No signs of quarantine procedures. No emergency medical facilities. Something doesn't add up. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jackson, looked worried. If there's no plague, why did they call for help? That, Ortiz said grimly, is exactly what we're here to find out. Back on the Retribution, Admiral Chen received a simple message from the stealth ship. Arrived safely. Beginning investigation. First clues suggest no evidence of any plague. Chen's eyes narrowed. So the distress call was a trap. The Vraxians are playing a deeper game than we thought. He turned to his communications officer. Tell Commander Ortiz to proceed with extreme caution, and inform General Zhou to move the Mjolnir platforms into position. Commander Maya Ortiz and her team moved carefully through the streets of the Keldorian capital city. They wore special suits that made them look like Keldorians, tall reptilian beings with scaled skin and long necks. This doesn't look like a planet suffering from a deadly disease, Lieutenant Jackson whispered. The streets were busy with Keldorians going about their daily lives. Markets were open, and children played in parks. Agreed, Ortiz replied. We need to get to their government center and find out what's really happening. They made their way to a large building in the center of the city. Using fake identification cards created from information gathered by Earth intelligence, they entered without trouble. Inside, they found an empty office and hacked into the Keldorian data network. What they discovered shocked them. There is no plague, Jackson said as he read the data. There never was. The Keldorians never sent a distress call. Ortiz checked another file. According to this, the Keldorians have been fighting against Vraxian expansion for 20 years. The Vraxians want control of Keldorian territory and resources. So the distress call was fake, Jackson said. The Vraxians set a trap for us. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building. Intruder alert. Security to level 4. We've been discovered, Ortiz said calmly. Plan B split up and meet at the backup location. They separated, each taking different routes out of the building. Ortiz was nearly at an exit when 6 Keldorian guards surrounded her, weapons drawn. Do not move, human, said the lead guard. Ortiz raised her hand slowly. I am Commander Maya Ortiz of Earth. I need to speak with your leaders about the Vraxians. The guard seemed surprised. How do you know about our problems with the Vraxians? Because they destroyed our medical ship that was coming to help you, she replied. Or at least, they made us think you needed help. The guards looked at each other in confusion. Then the lead guard touched a communication device on his wrist. Minister Talvek, we have captured a human who claims to know about the Vraxians. She says they destroyed an Earth ship. After a short conversation, the guard looked at Ortiz. Come with us. The defense minister will see you. They took her to a secure room deep inside the building. There she met Talvek, a large Keldorian with battle scars across his scales. Why is Earth spying on Keldoria? He demanded. Ortiz didn't back down. We received a distress call claiming your world was suffering from a plague. We sent our best medical ship, the Mercy, to help. The Vraxians intercepted and destroyed it, killing everyone on board. She showed him footage from the Sentinel's records of the attack. Talvek watched in silence. We never sent any distress call, he finally said. The Vraxians must have sent it to lure you into a trap. But why? Ortiz asked. Because the Vraxians fear humans, Talvek explained. They have been eliminating potential allies of Earth one by one. They see your rapid advancement as the greatest threat to their expansion. He showed her a map of nearby star systems. The Vraxians have conquered 3 peaceful species in the last 10 years. We have been resisting them, but we stand alone. Maybe not anymore, Ortiz said. Earth is preparing to strike back against the Vraxians. Would Keldoria join us? Talvek considered this. Show me what Earth plans to do. Just then, Ortiz received a message from Admiral Chen. Tell them to wait. The first phase is about to begin. She looked at Talvek with a small smile. Just watch what happens in the next few days. Then decide if you want to stand with Earth. Exactly 30 days after the destruction of the Mercy, the Vraxian Empire changed forever. On the Vraxian homeworld, Emperor Draxfar was addressing his war council when the lights flickered and went out. Emergency power came on seconds later. What happened? The Emperor demanded. An officer rushed in. Your Majesty, we're getting reports from across the Empire. Every ship, station, and colony has lost main power at exactly the same time. Impossible, shouted Lord General Krasmore. Nothing could coordinate an attack on that scale. Another officer entered with more news. Weapons systems are offline. Defense grids are down. Life support is running on emergency power only. In space, every Vraxian warship drifted helplessly. Their engines dead, their weapons silent. Only life support and communications still functioned. Admiral Chen's fleet emerged from FTL travel at the edge of the Vraxian home system. 50 Earth warships, led by the massive Retribution, took position just out of range of any functioning Vraxian weapons. On the bridge of the Retribution, Chen looked at the display showing hundreds of powerless Vraxian ships. The Nemesis nanites had performed perfectly, spreading through the entire Vraxian network and shutting down their systems on command. Open a channel to the Vraxian High Command, Chen ordered. His communications officer nodded. Channel open. Sir. Broadcasting on all Vraxian frequencies. Chen stood tall, his uniform perfect, his face calm. This is Admiral William Chen of Earth. Your empire is now defenseless. Your ships are dead in space. Your colonies will run out of life support in exactly 48 hours. He paused, letting his words sink in. You fired on those who came with medicine and hope. This is your one opportunity to surrender. On the Vraxian homeworld, the Emperor watched Chen's message with rage in his compound eyes. This is a trick, he hissed. They cannot have disabled our entire fleet. The evidence suggests otherwise, Your Majesty, said his science advisor. Something has infected our systems. We cannot restore power. I will not surrender to humans, the Emperor declared. They are bluffing about our life support failing. He ordered a message sent back to Chen. The Vraxian Empire does not surrender. Your primitive attacks cannot harm us. Leave our space immediately or face destruction. On the Retribution, Chen received the Emperor's response. He showed no surprise. They need more proof, he said quietly. He nodded to Dr. Scifi, who stood nearby at a control station. Scifi pressed a series of commands. Activating Nemesis Phase 2. Suddenly, on screens throughout the Vraxian Empire, images appeared. Live video feeds showed the inside of the Emperor's private chambers, the main military command center, the top-secret research facilities, and dozens of other secure locations. Chen's voice broadcast alongside these images. We are inside every system you own. We see everything. We control everything. On the Keldorian homeworld, Commander Ortiz and Defense Minister Talvek watched the events unfold through a secure Earth channel. Incredible, Talvek whispered. The Vraxians have the most advanced security in the sector. How did Earth bypass it all? We offered peace, Ortiz replied. They chose war. Now they learn what humanity is truly capable of. Back on the Retribution, Chen received another message from Emperor Draxfar, still defiant. We will not bow to human tricks and threats. Do your worst. Chen looked at his bridge crew, his face grim but determined. The Emperor has made his choice. General Zhao, You may execute Phase 2. In the darkness of space, invisible to Vraxian sensors, the Mjolnir platforms began to move. The Mjolnir platforms have been waiting silently in position around every major Vraxian colony world. 50 massive asteroids fitted with stealth technology and precise guidance systems. On the Retribution, General Joe watched her display as all platforms reported ready status. Mjolnir platforms are in position, Admiral, she reported to Chen. Awaiting final targeting commands. Chen nodded. Target the uninhabited moons. I want visible demonstrations without civilian casualties. Zhao raised an eyebrow. The moons, sir. Not military bases. The moons, Chen confirmed. Sometimes the threat of power is more effective than power itself. Zhao entered the commands. Across Vraxian space, the Mjolnir platforms began to move. On the Vraxian colony world Drax Prime, people looked up at their night sky, where 3 moons shone brightly. Without warning, the smallest moon erupted in a blinding flash. Huge chunks broke away as something struck it at incredible speed. The moon began to break apart. The same scene played out at every major Vraxian colony. Their moons, some inhabited, most not, shattered into thousands of pieces. The fragments created spectacular meteor showers in the atmospheres below, but caused no damage to the planets themselves. The message was clear. Earth could have targeted the planets. On the Vraxian homeworld, panic spread through the Imperial Palace. Military leaders watched in horror as their defensive systems remained offline, and their moons were destroyed with surgical precision. The humans could destroy our planets at any moment, said Admiral Vexnar. We must surrender while we still can. Never, roared Emperor Draxthar. I would rather see our empire fall than bow to humans. Admiral Vexnar stood tall, his mandibles clicking in determination. Then you are not fit to lead. He turned to the other military officers. For the survival of our species, we must remove the Emperor and surrender to Earth. Half the officers stood with Vexnar. The other half remained loyal to the Emperor. Weapons were drawn. The coup had begun. Back on the Retribution, Chen received reports of fighting on the Vraxian homeworld. They're tearing themselves apart, Dr. Scifi said, monitoring the Nemesis feeds. Their military is divided between surrender and continued resistance. Keep our fleet in position, Chen ordered. No further attacks unless they fire on us. Let them decide their own fate. On the Keldorian homeworld, Commander Ortiz worked with Defense Minister Talvek to prepare their forces. When the Vraxians surrender, Ortiz explained, we'll need to secure their outposts near Keldorian space. Admiral Chen wants Keldorian forces ready to move. Talvek studied Earth's battle plans with admiration. Your people showed incredible restraint. You could have destroyed their planets, but you chose not to. We're not like the Vraxians, Ortiz replied. We don't kill innocents to make a point. On Luna, Dr. Scifi's team monitored the Nemesis network and detected Vraxian scientists attempting to disable the nanites. They're trying to adapt, Scifi told Chen via secure channel. But we're staying ahead of them. Each time they find a solution, we change the nanite programming. As the 48-hour deadline approached, Admiral Chen received an unexpected message. It didn't come from Emperor Draxthar, but from the Vraxian People's Assembly, a civilian government body that had previously held little power. Admiral Chen, said the assembly speaker, her mandibles trembling. The fighting in our capital continues, but the assembly has voted to accept your terms. We request an immediate ceasefire and formal surrender negotiations. Please spare our people. Chen looked at the frightened Vraxian on his screen, then at the photo of his sister Helena. Prepare a shuttle, he ordered his staff. It's time to end this war. The formal surrender of the Vraxian Imperium took place aboard the UES Retribution. The massive meeting room was filled with representatives from Earth, the Keldorian High Council, and other species who had suffered from Vraxian aggression. Admiral Chen sat at the head of the long table. His uniform was perfectly pressed, his face serious but not angry. Across from him sat the new Vraxian leadership, members of the People's Assembly who had taken control after 3 days of fighting in the capital. Speaker Zivray of the Assembly looked nervous, her compound eyes darting around the room. "We are prepared to accept Earth's terms," she said, her translator converting her clicks into human language. Chen nodded and activated a display showing the surrender document. "The terms are fair but firm," he explained. "The Vraxian military will be reduced by 60%. All territories taken by force in the last 20 years will be returned to their original owners or granted independence." The Vraxian representatives studied the terms carefully. One of them spoke up. "What about our colonies? Will Earth occupy them?" "No," Chen replied. "Earth has no interest in controlling Vraxian territory. You will govern yourselves, but under the supervision of a council that includes Earth, Keldoria, and other affected species." Another important point appeared on the screen. Emperor Draxthar and the commanders who ordered the attack on the Mercy must be surrendered to face trial under Galactic Concord law. The Vraxians shifted uncomfortably, but did not object. Their former emperor had been captured during the fighting and was now in custody. A Keldorian representative, Minister Talvek, leaned forward. "And what guarantees do we have that the Vraxians will not rebuild their forces once Earth leaves?" "The Ninesis nanites will remain in all Vraxian military systems for 5 years, Chen answered. "Any sign of prohibited weapons development will trigger an immediate shutdown of those systems." As the final terms were being discussed, a message arrived for Admiral Chen. He read it, and for the first time, a small smile appeared on his face. "We have one more announcement," he said. The room grew quiet. "Earth is commissioning a new medical ship, the UEA's Second Chance. It will be sent to Vraxian worlds to provide medical assistance as their life support systems are gradually restored." The Vraxian representatives looked shocked. "You would help us? After all that has happened?" "Yes," Chen said simply. "That is who we are." Dr. Layla Rahman entered the room. She looked remarkably like her sister Aisha, who had died aboard the Mercy. "I have volunteered to lead the medical mission," she announced. "My sister died bringing medicine to those in need. I can think of no better way to honor her memory than to do the same, even for those who took her from us." The Vraxians lowered their heads in what appeared to be shame or respect. It was hard to tell with their alien features. Ambassador Tilara of the Galactic Concord, who had observed the proceedings, finally spoke. "The Concord recognizes Earth's right to defend itself against unprovoked aggression. However, we must express concern about the technologies you have revealed during this conflict." Chen turned to face her. "Ambassador, we used our technology with restraint. We could have destroyed planets. Instead, we disabled systems. We could have targeted civilians. Instead, we focused on military assets. Judge us by our actions, not our capabilities." The surrender document was signed by all parties. As the Vraxian representatives left to return to their homeworld, Shen looked at the photo of his sister one last time before putting it away. "Justice has been served," he whispered. "Now it's time for mercy." 5 years passed since the Vraxian surrender. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Vraxian Imperium no longer existed. In its place stood the Vraxian Republic, governed by an elected council rather than an emperor. Their military remained small, focused only on defense. Former Emperor Draxthar and his war commanders had been tried and sentenced to life imprisonment by the Galactic Concord. On what was once the site of the Vraxian military headquarters, a new building now stood, the Galactic Humanitarian Institute. Medical professionals from dozens of species trained there, preparing to help worlds in need. Admiral William Chen, now retired, walked through the Institute's memorial garden. Gray had appeared in his hair, and he moved more slowly than before. Beside him walked a young Keldorian, barely 10 years old by Earth standards. "This is where they remember those who died on the Mercy?" the child asked. "Yes," Chen replied. "My sister and all those who came to help others." They stopped before a wall covered with names and images of the Mercy's crew. At the center was a sculpture showing human hands offering medicine to alien hands. "I would not be alive without your people," the child said. "The second chance came to my world when sickness spread through our colony. Dr. Raman saved my life." Chen smiled and placed his hand gently on the child's shoulder. "This is why we fought," he explained. "Not for vengeance, but for all the lives that were to come." In Earth's Parliament building, Prime Minister Adebayo gave his final address before retirement. Behind him stood a window looking out at the stars. "5 years ago, we showed the galaxy two sides of humanity," he said. "When our mercy was met with violence, we responded with overwhelming force. But when victory was achieved, we offered healing instead of hatred." He gestured to the stars visible through the window. Those stars once seemed distant and unreachable. Now, Earth leads a coalition of 30 species. Our technology is sought after. Our protection is valued. Our medical ships travel to worlds we hadn't even discovered a decade ago. On the Keldorian homeworld, Commander Ortiz, now Ambassador Ortiz, met with High Elder Talvek. Together, they reviewed plans for a joint space station at the border between their territories. "Your people have changed the balance of power in this sector," Talvek said. "Smaller species no longer fear the powerful ones. We all know that Earth would step in if another empire tried to expand by force." "We never wanted to be warriors," Ortiz replied. "We came to space as explorers and healers. The Vraxians forced our hand. And now the Vraxians themselves have become peaceful," Talvek noted with amusement. On the former Vraxian homeworld, the UEA's second chance prepared to depart after its final mission. Dr. Layla Rahman looked back at the planet that had once been her enemy's stronghold. Under her leadership, the second chance had visited every former Vraxian world, healing and building trust. That evening, as night fell across the galaxy, the stars seemed to shine brighter than before. Among them were the lights of Earth's colonies and outposts, spreading throughout space. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not just as explorers and diplomats, but as a power that offered mercy first, and when betrayed, was capable of unleashing a retaliation so complete that it became legend. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity's hand would always be extended in friendship first. But those who slapped that hand away would face the full force of human determination. And throughout the stars, the descendants of Earth continued their oldest tradition, offering help to those in need, now across 1,000 worlds and beyond.